What's going on, everyone? My name's Dallas. You're listening to VicFoodStories, and this is the place where we talk about food in and around Victoria, BC. And today's episode, I have Israel here with me. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Dallas?
Dude, I've been waiting for this one for so long.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea. When did you first come to Victoria? Last year?
That was probably
Was it April?
April 2019.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And dude, ever since I first met you, I'm like, this guy is like, he's special. He's doing special stuff.
Excellent.
And I mean, anybody that's had your tacos that you make,
Yeah.
or anything that you do with your Nixtamal process, like, they know that this is unlike anything else in the city.
Well, thanks for that.
You've done a very good job.
Well, thanks.
So that's
I tried to keep up.
So that's a little bit of feedback I have for you.
Thank
right
you.
off the jump. But I know that you have a long history in the industry working with food. And I'm just kind of curious if you could sort of let the people that aren't familiar with you, let them know sort of what your background is.
Yeah. I mean, that's a kind of like a long history, but not too much. I think like 18, 20 years probably. Yeah, working in kitchens.
Not that long, just like 20 years.
Just 20, maybe 15, 18 years. Yeah, always very interested in food and like living in Mexico City, raised and born in Mexico City. That just allows you to see many places where food is available. Like you're talking from like any restaurants in the streets and in restaurants anywhere in Mexico City, you'll see food all the time. So I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and one time I went to Cancun, I figured out that will be something I will be able to put myself into it, cooking. I saw a couple of chefs on one of the resorts, and cooking on the beach.
How old were you?
I was probably like 17, 18.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that sounds like it looks like a cool thing to do, right?
Do you remember what they were making?
They were doing some kind of like flambés at night. So it was like an event, special event in there at the hotel, and then you see how they set up their stuff, and then they're cooking like pretty much in front of you and things like that. So I thought that was cool. And then years later, I decided to put myself into a culinary program and do it.
And that first experience, what about it sort of spoke to you, do you think? Like, what was really cool about it? Like, what really got you inside?
I think it's all, my whole career. I think has been like being in connection with the people you're cooking for. That's pretty much what I really enjoy. That's very satisfying when you do something for somebody else, right? And in my culture, it's also the same thing. It's like when your mom, when they spend hours in your birthdays, or they spend hours cooking for the family, and then when they actually have to serve the food, they're happy, and then that makes me happy. So I think that's one of the main reasons why I decided to do it.
Okay. And so you enrolled in a culinary program.
Yeah, so I did that, and then I tried a couple of things, and then finally I started with the 2-year program, and then finally after those 2 years, I was able to go to Spain and work, and as well have some more education in there. And
so where were you in Spain?
That was in the province is called Galicia, and that's northern Spain, close to Portugal.
And so what were you cooking there?
Well, that was that place that I worked for. It's one of the best places in La Coruña, which is the city, and they're specialized in seafood. And I never worked with that quality of seafood in my life, and that was such a great experience. Like looking at in the morning when you got those guys in their scooters, and then just go with a net in the back, and they're just like offering you like produce, right? Like we got oysters, you got crabs, and then you got like things that I've never seen before, and I'm like, wow, that's just like pretty much like sea to table.
I love it.
So that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Sea to fork.
Yeah, sea to fork. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then after that, when I came back to Mexico City, and I always wanted to work for a good chef, for something that will inspire you. And I ended up having a work interview with Chef Enrique Olvera from Pujol, and it was just a very casual chat. And then he just asked me, when can you start?
Really? And how did that connection come to be?
You know, I'm always very driven to what I like to do, and so when I saw and I read about the restaurant, he was doing something completely different within Mexico, in Mexico City, and then I was just captured my mind, and like I want to work for this guy. I want to be part of this. So every time I've had interviews, I just go and ask for the chef. You know, all those few places I've been working, and I just go and like ask, is the chef available, or can I speak with him? And luckily that was the case. He was at the table, just doing some stuff, and then I asked one of the servers. I knocked the door and be like, "Hey, is the chef Alberta here?" And then she's like, "Yeah."
So you just like walked in the restaurant?
I just walked in the restaurant and asked for the chef, and then it was just like instant connection, right? And
at that point, was Pujol as acclaimed as it is now?
No, it was not. It was probably the second year that they opened the restaurant. But at that time, Pujol was getting into that position of being one of the best restaurants in the city.
Yeah, because for people that don't know, what is it ranked now?
Right now, it's number 12 around the world by the San Pellegrino list, and I think last year it was number 1 in North America.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane.
Which is insane. Like, you know, looking at what Mexican food now these days is this is crazy. This is like so proud of it, right? Like a Mexican restaurant being one of the best restaurants in North America. That's dope.
That's really crazy, and it's cool that you sort of got in and you were able just to walk in and make that connection organically, and then you got to work there, I guess, eh?
Yeah, so I started like anybody else, right? Like you start like line cook, and then you know you put yourself into discipline and a lot of hours and energy and coming back from Spain. I mean, Spain was a really good spot for me to develop those disciplines and those skills and the audacity of like getting in the morning earlier and getting up in the morning earlier and just go to work, because they have a different schedule. You know, they work in the morning and they have a little break and you have to come back. So I put a lot of hours into going to the restaurant, then going to school, and then having a second job at night. So that was 6 days a week like that. So when I actually went to Pujol, that was like an easy breathe. You know, like it's just like this is I'm trained, so I'm good.
Well, you've been going so hard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine that being at Pujol, it must have been a very different environment, I guess you could say, than you would find here in Victoria.
Absolutely.
Were they always? Do you know with Pujol, has it sort of changed over the years, or were they operating at the same then as they are now?
No, everything. Like one of the things that I admire about Pujol is that it's the endless type of they're always evolving. Mm-hmm. You know, they're always like in transition, and I saw transitions since the beginning. You know, like decoration, like menu tastings, the way we approach food, the way we approach Mexican food after. You know, because we started with like not as a Mexican restaurant. It was more like we're using Mexican ingredients with French North American technique. Because one of the things that people might don't know is that Enrique Alvarez was he went to the CIA in New York. So he worked with like Charlie Trotter. He worked like very good chefs down in the States. So when he came back to Pujol and opened his own restaurant, that was his style. You know, we looking at Mexican ingredients, but we cook with like North American French technique.
Okay.
And that was like the beginning of Pujol.
So they're like a very unique, just, you're not going to find any other stuff like that.
Any other stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. And so what was it like working in a setting like that?
Well, it's stressful in a way that you enjoy it. I mean, it's just like you go every day and you go hard. You can't go with like low stamina, like, oh, I'm tired. No, you just go and you get up, and then and you have responsibilities, and you have to motivate your staff. You have to motivate yourself, and put yourself also in a position where there's a bar, there's a level, there's a standard, and you cannot accept less than that.
And everyone on the team sort of has to be, no one will accept less than that standard, right?
Yeah, and it becomes like a culture, actually. Becomes some sort of like everybody watch their backs, I'm like, if we see that someone is like lacking of like finesse in the dishes, or like the production is not getting the way we want it, it's like, okay, let's figure out what's going on here, because at the end of the day, the end product is what is the most important part of our days.
Yeah, and I can imagine, like, it must be a really well-oiled team. Like, everyone has to sort of, like you're saying, if somebody or something happens, other people might need to step in.
Yeah.
But then you just work as a smoothly oiled machine moving forward.
Yeah, and then because like one of the things that I will all the time said is that that kind of level of kitchens, it's just a nonstop. It's just a nonstop, constant battle, and you always pushing. The pushing part is something that I learned a lot. It's like, no matter what happened, you keep pushing.
Do you ever feel like burnout?
Oh yeah, of course. Like you get to a point when you kind of burn out a little bit. But what brings you back is just the passion, and I actually had a little break in between my years in Puyol, because I was tired of it. But one of the things that Enrique always said to me is like, well, I know you're going to come back because this is what you do, right? So I have a little break, and I was completely missing the action and the passion, and yeah, it's tired being in your own feet for 15 hours and having that much responsibility, because at the end of the day, when I left Puyol, I was the chef de cuisine. Right, and between those years, also Puyol started expanding. So we're not just doing the restaurant side. We were doing also like caterings and workshops. So there was we kind of like a branch out a little bit more within the business. So managing a lot of stuff and taking care of yourself as well, it takes a toll on your body.
Dude, that's so hard, trying to manage like that work-life balance.
Yeah.
And making sure that like you're okay just for fundamentally on a human being level first. I mean, I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Because like right now I'm pretty much busier than I've ever been in my life. But like I feel totally happy and pumped.
Yeah.
I almost do better when I'm just got my head down and I'm just going. And I can't really think about stuff. I don't know. It sounds like do you thrive in that mode as well, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I always have in my mind. It's like when I feel under pressure, it's like it's when you feel like when you're in the ocean, right? And the waves are crashing you, and they're like, you just go down, you just go deep, and like surfer, right? You go the talking, and then you get out.
I almost like it that when like pressure's on me, and if I fail, it's my fault. Like and it comes back on me. I almost like having that pressure, where it's like I can't redirect it to anybody else. If I mess up, it's me. But and there's a lot of pressure like that. But I don't know what it is. For me, I just thrive, I think, better in those situations.
Yeah, I don't know. It's some part of it for sure. Like having pressure, and it just allows you to explore yourself in different levels, and always trying to find the best way to get out, and do it well.
Yeah. And I know Pujol and Enrique, they were featured on Chef's Table on Netflix. I think in season 2, I think they did an episode on Pujol.
Yeah, that's right.
So there was quite a spotlight on Pujol.
Yeah.
And I know that something happened, I guess, right before you left Mexico.
Yeah.
Maybe because there was a bit of a spotlight or something. I don't know if you could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a controversy of what happened to me in Mexico City before I left Puyol, and I think people see success within like with different eyes. I was kidnapped in Mexico City before leaving Puyol. And they call it like a express kidnap. Like they live to you for like 2 days, right? And then it's kind of like a quick, but it seems like it's not quick.
Well, no, I couldn't imagine because you don't know what's going on.
You don't know what's going on at that time. I've just never seen it coming. It's something that people know it's happening in Mexico, and like you see in Colombia, it's always kidnappings and things like that. But in Mexico City, we are so many people, 30 million people in Mexico City. You're like, oh, that's never going to happen to me, right? Like, and you're also so involved with what you're doing every day that doesn't cross your mind that you might be a target for something like that. So that time I left Pujol that day, and then I was at that time I was with one of my ex-girlfriends, and she and I, we went for drinks, and then we came back, and then she went inside the house, and then I was in the car, and then all of a sudden, like, a lady asked me for an address out of the car, which was weird. They parked in front of me with the brights on. I'm like, what's going on? And then immediately this person asked me for an address. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I'm not from this neighborhood. And as I see that, then I just saw two guys coming towards me. And then you're like, what's going on, right? And then they put your gun in the head and be like, hey, jump in the back seat. And for what? Right? Like, for what? And then, like, when you say for what, that you just smash their head with the gun. It's like, okay, and then you understand what's going on.
Like, there's no playing around at all.
There's no play around. Like, gotta be quick. I mean, they're not messing around, right? They know their way to get people. So I was like, okay. Then I just jump in the back, and one guy is driving my car, the other guy is in the passenger seat. The lady drove the other car to where they were gonna keep me. And that time, my ex-girlfriend came back from the house and just like look at the streets and be like, what's going on? Where are you going? Right? So she called me, and then the guy's like, well, you know what? Like, just tell her you're going to get something on 7-Eleven or whatever. So I say, well, I'm just going to get some whatever. I didn't remember what I said, and that was it. And then from that, they take you to places, and they just want your money, and they know who you are. They know who you work for.
So you feel that you were targeted.
Yeah,
in that.
I thought, yeah, and that was just a very bad experience, because after that I have to decide what I wanted to do, if I want to stay in Mexico or not. And then knowing that there was not much support from the authorities so I went the next day and be like, hey, I just got kidnapped, and they're like, well, you're fine. You have fingers, you have your ears. Like, typically people do something to you, And anyway, that was just a very weird something that is like a tattoo in my story. And
it's like, I was born here in Victoria, and like I haven't traveled that much. So like, it's such a different world where something like that could happen than what I'm used to here in Victoria. And I can't fathom what that would feel like. And I mean, I don't know if you want to speak about it, but the way you got out of the situation, I don't know how you came up with that.
You know what? It happens pretty quick, but at the same time, it takes forever in your mind to know where you are and how the time goes. Like, the time can go from like one day to another.
Yeah.
Just basically, they were just wanted to clear all my credit cards, my debit cards, like my saving cards, everything. And once they start talking about like getting in contact with my family, then is when I have the red alert. Is like, oh, this is not gonna go well, because once they start trying to do some negotiation with your family, then things are just gonna get really messed up. And I just have to like think something very quick and super smart and be like, I'm just gonna pretend that that I'm having like a breakdown, like I'm just having what is that called, a seizure? Or like
seizure?
A seizure, yeah. So I just started like producing a lot of saliva in my mouth and just going on the floor, and then tell this lady that was the lady that actually asked me for this address. She was the one that was taking care of me. And I just told her I need my medications. I have this and that, and I might just die if I don't have, like, I'm going to get bad. And yeah, she just called them and be like, this guy is just, it's been half an hour, it's been on the floor, and he's just like, he's probably going to die. Because I was just basically just faking it, right? And then they came back, and then they said, yeah, let's get this guy out of here, and then just dump it somewhere. But at the time, it's just a risk because you don't know if they're gonna shoot you on the head and dump you anywhere. You don't know anything about it. So I played it. I played the risk very high, and I'm very grateful that I'm alive, and I'm nothing really much happened to me rather than just the psychological effects of like having that experience in life, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I must imagine going through something like that must kind of give you almost like a appreciation for life. Would that be fair?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Every time I'm in a situation where I feel very down, or I'm just like, damn, I just don't know what's going on right now, you're like, okay, it can be worse. You went through a lot of hard situations, and that was one that actually it's like a point of for me. It's like you see my history of life, and that just marks everything else, because I have to move out of the country. I have to remove myself. I make that decision, even though I was able to go and work for 6 months or a year in, I don't know, you name it, the best restaurants in the world. Enrique was like, you just go 6 months, we'll pay you the same salary. You go there and you come back. We want you here, and hopefully you can recover from this experience and come back. He also had one attempt of kidnapping Mexico, so that was quite shocking.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you've told me this story before, and it just listening to it, like, I just can't imagine. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
So to see that like, it's sort of inspiring to me that you're using that as something, like you said, when you have a down day, and you're like, things could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. And I mean, but I think what I take the most from that is that I never thought I was going to be in Canada. I never thought I was going to be in. So when that happened, I was able to make a decision and see what I want to do with my life now. I have these options, and I can go work 6 months at Noma or in Brazil or anywhere, right, with the connections of Puyol, and come back, or I can move out of the country and start a new life from zero. So that was a very difficult moment to choose which one I want to do.
How long did that take you to sort of figure that out and come to a decision?
Well, I don't know. I think it was like maybe within like 2-3 weeks, when I'm like, things start coming to me, and then I just make the decision, and it was very tough, because friends and even people from Pujol and even the chef were like, well, it's you're building your career here, and then we know you're gonna do well at some point, and then you might not even want to go to Canada or to the United States. I have two options to go to one to the United States and one to Canada, or go anywhere else for 6 months and come back. That was a decision where I'm like, I just want to be outside of Mexico. I didn't feel safe, and that was something that I just had to do it.
And so at that point, did you come right to Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was at 2008 there was these job hunters, and they wanted to hire skilled cooks to go to Edmonton, and never knew what Edmonton was, and then until I got there.
Had you ever heard of the word Edmonton?
Nope, never. I've always, when you look at Canada, you're like, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, right? Yeah. That's what you want to be, or at least where you can put yourself in a position where your skills can do something in those cities, right? In terms of like restaurants and what's going on with food in there. So yeah, basically I just have to remove myself and start from zero, and that was tough. That was really tough, because it just changed your life completely.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't anticipating doing that, right?
No.
Not at all. And you were sort of put in a situation where you're kind of forced.
Yeah, I was forced, but it was a good choice. And I'm pretty happy that After 10 years, I've received my citizenship, and now I'm like dual citizenship. So it pays out at the end. You just keep working, and it pays out.
Of course. Yeah. And so you came to Edmonton.
Yeah.
And then how long were you there for?
About 10 years.
I didn't realize. So you were in Edmonton the whole time, and then you came here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was 10 years in Edmonton. That was
okay. So where were you working in Edmonton?
So when I first started, I worked for this chain restaurants are called Original Joe's.
Yep.
Yeah, I worked for them for about 4 years until I got my PR. And then after I got my PR, I started working for other places like casino restaurants and small restaurants, independent restaurants, things like that.
Were you doing all different types of cuisine, or was it the same?
No, I was doing like a lot of things. I was doing like Italian. I was doing like some sort of like a French Canadian. I was doing things like that. I never worked in a Mexican restaurant. That's for sure. No, I never got to.
Would you say that you bring any of those aspects at all with what you do now, or are you doing 100% authentic to Mexico, or do you add any type of little thing that you've learned along the way?
You mean if when I cook things, do I cook completely Mexican?
Yeah. Or do you add little things you might have picked up along the way cooking different cuisines?
Yeah, I mean, some techniques you like, oh, I like this one, or I like to add this into this, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes about authenticity and cooking Mexican, I think it's a very broad term in terms of, if I have to say that, in terms of being authentic. You can only be authentic in the country where this food comes from. So for me, authentic Mexican food is only in Mexico.
Yeah.
Because it's when you get like the culture, you get the produce, and you get the technique, and you get all that stuff. You cook authentic in Mexico. It's just something
because the ingredients, I imagine, if you're having it there in Mexico, even if you're using like technically the same stuff here, there's a difference, right?
It travels, like food travels, right? And that's just like, to me, that's important. Like, I mean, one of the things I do here is like I'm from Mexico City. But I'm in Vancouver Island, so I was like, let's match it up.
How did you arrive at coming to Victoria? How did that happen?
So in 2013, when I was about to get my PR, I was like, I think I want to expand my horizons, right? And then I had a friend in Metropolitan right now. His name is Chad. So hi, Chad.
Shout out to Chad.
Yeah. He went to Edmonton and he worked with me at the Original Joe's, and so I have a connection with him. And in 2013, I decided to make the trip and get to know Victoria, because he was always like, man, that city is super cool and you will love it in there. And then so he got me the spark, and then I just made the trip. And I actually got a job for at Euclid in. Yeah, it's that close to Tofino, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And one of the resorts in there, and I did like maybe 3 weeks in there, and then I have to come back to Mexico for a conference of it's called MAiiZ America, and it's actually run by, at that time it was run by Chef Enrique, and then but you know what, I never felt connection with cooking Italian or cooking French. I was like, I don't feel that connection. It's not something that I'm passionate about it. So that was a good point in my life when I realized I think I'm missing my own food culture. Yeah.
So is that where did you make a conscious choice at that point then that you wanted to pursue doing Mexican cuisine?
Yeah. That was a moment where I'm like, I feel that I'm just ready to start doing something. You know, because when you are an immigrant, I mean, a lot of things happen to you. You know, and you gotta adapt to the country. You have to learn the language. Like I was not able to speak like right now. I still have a lot of errors and mistakes when I talk about it, right? But I was not. I mean, what really saved me at those first years in Canada working for Original Joe's is just experience that you got working in kitchens. I was not able to understand 100% what all the servers were saying to me or the guy talking to me, and that's funny because one of the things that I always say to people is like, in those kitchens you got one guy or two guys from Philippines, 2-3 guys from India, maybe one Canadian. and two Mexicans, and they all have different accents, right? So when the Indian guy is calling the bills, I was like, I have no idea what this guy is saying. Like, did he call for chicken or did he call for something? Like, you know, and then you just like, you got to make yourself and you know.
So how much English did you speak when you came to Canada?
Not much.
Like basically nothing?
Just the basics, you know, like to survive kind of thing, you
yeah.
know, because you have to go through to the immigration process with the embassy of Canada, and you go for an interview, so they know that you are able to survive or at least to communicate.
I see.
Because you are a skilled worker and you need to understand what is going on at your job place. So.
And so were you doing Mexican food before you came to Victoria, or was Victoria the move where you finally were making that shift?
No, in Edmonton. So in 2016, after having 2 years of my permanent residence, I decided to start doing something that I was going to be proud of it, and I was going to be happy doing it, right? But there are some other challenges that comes with. So I started doing pop-ups in Edmonton. So I had this project called Comal Mexican Table Dinner. The name Comal means basically the clay round surface, right? Like a vessel where you cook tortillas. That's a comal, C-O-M-A-L-A. Right?
Okay. Is that the surface?
Yeah, that's the surface.
The heat's up and you cook the tortillas on them. Okay.
So that's like one of the other foundations of Mexican cuisine. No? It's like, where do you cook your tortillas? You cook it in a comal, right? And that's what
That's a great name, then.
I name it like that. It took well, and we got attention, and it was good. But I mean, Edmonton, for some reason, you know, and I love Edmonton, and I love the people that always support me down there. But I think after doing that for almost 2 years, it didn't took off the way I wanted to.
So what was not going the way you wanted it to? In what way did it not take off?
So doing the pop-ups, you have to work your full-time job, wherever you do that, and then on top of that, you have to put time and effort to do everything around doing a pop-up, you know. So I will go to restaurants, or I will go to cooking schools or studios where like that allow me to do pop-ups. So that was a lot of work, but at the same time it was fun. The way that didn't take the way I wanted is because I think that time the market was in the best position for people to invest, and I think that the main reason was that the timing wasn't ideal for this project, and I'm glad that happened, because you know, like right now, after coming to Victoria, it's been amazing. So I just love it here.
Side question.
Yeah.
How much did the weather play a factor? Did you like the cold?
You know what? Like, I'm not gonna lie. The first 5 years, I was really into snowboarding and like going to the hills and like getting to know those experiences. After the fifth year, I was just like, oh well, I think this is getting too much. You know, I think that the long winters is something that really take a toll of your body, and at some point, yeah, it just didn't make it for me anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Victoria, it's like as sort of as I don't know what the word is, as a level as you can get as far as weather goes. Like, there's no extreme either way. So you made a good choice.
I mean, last winter I didn't feel that much of a winter. That was just
you run around in shorts.
I was like, well, no, not that much, but I was just like, this is doable.
Dude, so you got to Victoria.
Yeah.
And then you started working at the Breakwater.
That's right.
Yeah. And then so when the Breakwater first reopened and David was down there, and he was doing his stuff. And I think that was the first time he told me about you. And he's like, there's this amazing guy coming to the city. And he's like, I can't wait for you to meet him.
Cool.
And then that's when the Breakwater changed format. And then you came in downstairs there. Mm-hmm. And it was mind blowing to see what you were doing there. Just absolutely mind blowing. And seeing the space that you had, like, you didn't have much space to work with.
Yeah.
You really didn't.
People don't know that.
No, you had no space, and I spent a little bit of time in the kitchen back there with you,
Yeah.
and it was just amazing to see. And when I would like say like how amazing the food is, and you're like, this is just entry level.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
it's you're not saying it's still obviously amazing, but you're saying like there's a lot more that you're able to do that you haven't had a chance to do yet.
everything comes with like within space and within tools and resources, right? Being able to have resources around your workspace allows you to do better things. You know, when you're restricted to this much of a space, or this equipment, or how many pans or how many pots you have, or you name it, refrigeration, storage, like all those things are counts, and they're actually essential part of your outcome. You know, as you know, planning a menu, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was a challenge because I was doing I was doing like charcuteries and cheese boards and all that stuff. And when they do the renovation upstairs, I noticed that the menu I was doing at that time wasn't going anywhere. It was just like sometimes I would not have much to do, and I got worried, like, oh. So I just brought the idea of like, you know, why we don't just do tacos, right? And
Yeah, dude.
And they were like, tacos, like what kind of tacos? And I say, the tacos that I do, you know. And then we're like,
But the thing is, nobody in Victoria knows those tacos.
yeah, no, I guess people have a perception of tacos, and from, you know, I mean, I have a different perspective of tacos.
Well, I mean, I think we should sort of get into maybe the cultural significance of tacos.
Yeah,
Because tacos
I like that.
are not there's so much more behind them that I think that people growing up in like Victoria and in Canada and stuff, they just have no clue how important tacos are to Mexican culture.
Yeah, you know what? It's about understanding the elements of what taco is made of. You know, we call about like people sometimes have a trouble understanding what's tortilla and what's taco. You know, they call taco what I call tortilla, and I call tortilla it's a tortilla. It's just a flat bread, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the foundation. I mean, the main part of a taco is a good tortilla. It's when I see other cultures, like let's say pizza, right? You got a frozen pizza, frozen dough, you know, that you know, and then you put elements on top and you put it in the oven, but you taste it and you're like, that dough is just you know, when a pizza it's not well done, right? And it's like it doesn't have that good taste.
I completely understand.
Right?
I think what you're saying, and like, yeah, if you have a pizza with really good dough,
Yeah.
it sets the stage for when you start adding really good ingredients on top of that. That's when it goes next level.
It's to me tortilla is just like the most important part of a taco. If I don't have a good tortilla, it's like building a house in the sand on the beach, where like you know the waves are just gonna crash one day and then it just collapses, right? And that's what's happened with tacos made of masa harina. When you grab them, they break. They can't hold fillings, they can hold sauces, they can hold all the weight. And that for me, it's something that I put a lot of effort and it's part of my culture. It's part of what I was able to see when I was a child. You know, like growing up, and like this are tortillas. This is how we make them, and the labor that comes behind. It's a labor, and it's very intense. You know, and
this is not a quick thing that you can just whip out a taco or a tortilla, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about like one of the most trusted part of being Mexican is to find maseca in your pantry. I just hate that. I hate maseca so much.
So for people that don't know what maseca is, maybe could you share with them?
Yeah, so it's basically it's an instant corn flour made of nixtamal dough. But what they do is they massively produce this dough and they dehydrate it in blasters. We don't know what's going on in there in that period of dehydration. You lose all the nutrients, you know, and the texture is not the same. The aromas are not the same. Flavors are lost. I mean, it's day and night. It's some of the other comparisons that I do all the time when I share this is that if you like good coffee, most people like a good coffee, and you go to the coffee shop, and then you got like espresso, you got like an Americano or whatever, right? And it's a good coffee that is freshly ground. But when that's the same thing, you got instant coffee in one cup, and then you got your ground coffee that you make an Americano or espresso. You taste both. You are gonna tell me that you're gonna spit the other one because the instant coffee is just like it's horrendous.
Well, the thing about your tortillas, and every time I have them, it further cements it in my head that like there's just so much more depth to what you're experiencing.
Yeah,
it's not this little sort of like not throw I don't know the best way to say it, but like there's just so much more substance in yours.
Yeah, I mean, Nixtamal, when we talk about Nixtamal, it's just people sometimes think that you can get corn from the field and make tortillas. What I actually use is the grain. So once it's completely dry and break into kernels, that's what I use to make tortillas. A dry kernel, a grain, not as a vegetable, as a grain. And then you add water, and it's basically three ingredients. You got your alkaline solution, which is the calcium hydroxide or slaked lime, water, and corn. That's only three ingredients. There's nothing else in there.
For you to make a batch of tortillas, though, how long is that process from like start to finish?
It takes 20 hours just to get the dough, and it's not a constant thing. So what you do is you cook the corn for several minutes, and then you add your calcium hydroxide, whatever, and then you cook it for half an hour, 45, depends on the volume, and then you let it rest overnight. You let it soak into it. And then next day, you have to do it at night, or you have to schedule yourself in a way you operate. But basically at night is the best way because you just cook it at night, and next day in the morning is ready.
So what does it do when it's soaking overnight? What is that doing?
It basically, the outer shelf of the grain, it dissolves. It breaks down. And then all the toxins and everything goes away. But what the most important part is that the corn becomes more nutritional. And
really?
So it's a transformation of the corn as a grain, because corn as it is it's not such a nutritional thing. I mean, we talk about in the 1700s in Italy there was pellagra, which is a disease of it's called the 3D disease, which is dementia, diarrhea, and death. Many of those times they were basing their diet with corn. Because when the Europeans came to America, to Mexico, they brought the crop back to Europe, but they forgot the nixtamalization essential part of how to transform corn into something more nutritional. And that's how like all the Mesoamerican civilization live out of corn, because of that transformation that was essential for them, for their diet. So this diet in Mexico, it's very important, right?
I did hear a quote that someone said where they said, "Without corn, there is no culture."
Yeah, that was a very powerful one. And back in the 80s, 90s, when NAFTA came on board, this treaty that basically pushed away nixtamal shops in Mexico, and that's why I'm completely against maseca and against those kind of tortillas, because what they did, maybe people don't know this, but what they did is I remember probably I was like 12 years old when the molinos, which is the grinding shop where people mostly, some people in rural places in Mexico or Mexico City, they cook their nixtamal, they cook their corn, and they bring it to the molino, which is the grinder. It's a big industrial grinder. Those things disappear. You won't find molinos anymore in Mexico. I was like, what's going on? And when all of a sudden what we have is a 20 kilograms of a sack with instant corn flour and a lot of subsidized money going to tortillerías. And when you taste that, it's like, why we allowing this? Why this is allowed to be? These are not tortillas. but that happened. That was pushed to it. A lot of farmers also lost their jobs. There was not much job for them, and immigration went to the States. So it's all everything is interconnected when we talk about corn in Mexico, right? And so we have a generation of people eating maseca tortillas. To me, that was a crime. That was just like, what does this taste like? It's just not flexible. First of all, it's not nutritional, and then it tastes bad. It doesn't
That's
taste
one thing about the tortillas. If no one's had your tortillas, you literally, it's like eating like the freshest corn you've ever had. That's what it tastes like to me. It tastes like you're eating actual corn.
Yeah.
It's such a different experience. And what would you say in Mexico, what percentage of tortillas are done through the nixtamal process, would you say now? If you had to guess.
I don't have that actually as a fact, but
You have a feeling about
but I have a feeling that in the whole Mexico, I think 60% is still doing nixtamal.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people that are in big cities.
Is there any risk of that being lost as the generations get older?
Yeah,
and not being passed down to the younger generation?
Yeah, that was a concern, especially with the corn being completely native to the land in Mexico, where corn actually what is that called?
Originally?
Yeah, originally come from, right? Sometimes I can't say things in English. So
dude, I've already done it twice here where I couldn't come up with a word.
And then so Mexico it's rich in varieties of corn. We have up to 59 varieties of corn native to the land that have been developed from thousands of years. So when GMO corn got into the States and it was subsidized, one of the things that I also don't like about Maseca is that last year was tested positive with Roundup, which is one of the main ingredients on Monsanto.
Yeah.
So the only reason why that happened is because they're probably mixing U.S. corn with Mexican corn, or I don't know exactly how that came that way. But
yeah, and then talk about not being nutritious,
and then on top of not being nutritious, then it's like it has traces of GMO corn. So it's just another thing to add to be against that kind of thing, right? It takes down the importance of tortillas for sure. And to me, tortillas are the daily bread of Mexico. And every culture have their own bread, right? And Mexico is tortilla. And having that heritage getting lost by the corporations and it's just not something I will let happen. At least not in Victoria.
Thank you, and I thank you because I've never had anything like I've said like your tortillas, and at one of the recent events that quesadilla.
Oh yeah,
just that dude that quesadilla. You kept saying to me afterwards the quesadilla.
I know.
I'm like, yes, dude, the quesadilla is insane. But so in Mexico with tacos. Are there tacos that you would eat like just during certain parts of the year or certain times of the day? Like, are there types of ones that you only have in the morning and only have at night, or?
I guess there's a couple of things that there's only by schedule,
or seasonal ones or something.
Seasonal ones, but I think tacos are it's such a part of our culture that you eat tacos out of anything. I remember eating tacos at breakfast with scrambled eggs and red salsa and something with nopales or like cacti or beans or whatever, right?
I forgot about nopales.
Yeah.
I don't want to derail the conversation here.
Yeah.
But I went and lived down in the States in Washington with my buddy, and his wife is from Mexico.
Cool.
And she made a cactus dish for breakfast. And her mom was there, and they made this cactus dish.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm so sad that there's nothing. I've never seen it here.
I have a little bit of controversy, or trying to figure out exactly how do I want to use products that come from 1,000 kilometers away, like cacti. I miss those things. Like you have no idea, man. Like those kind of produces where you cannot get it here or they're not locally sourced. It's a feeling of missing out. It's like I'm missing. I really miss this. But but I think that it's good. They're good in their own ecosystem, in their own land where they grow. They're good in there. Having them come all the way here, it's just I think that's a lost. Yeah.
So is that again sort of speaking to, it's like authentic in the place where it originates?
Yeah.
Like you can't. Yeah, obviously, if you bring it here, it's not the same as eating it there.
Yeah, I might do something in the next couple months with like things like that, right? Just to like play around with ingredients that I miss a lot, but it's not something I want to put it like if I have a restaurant or something.
But that is like an ethical dilemma that you battle with inside.
That's a very nice way to put it. Yeah, that way for sure.
So when we look at Mexican restaurants in like Canada and North America, and there is kind of, I think, like what my understanding kind of when I think of what a Mexican restaurant is, having grown up here, I would imagine, and from talking with you, it's very different from the actual reality when you're in Mexico. Like a Mexican restaurant, what I think of as one, just because of my experiences, it's not representative of what you would find in Mexico. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair to say. I think for the most cases, it's very challenging to replicate a specific spot in Mexico or a region and trying to put that in a map in outside of Mexico. So when I see Mexican restaurants with this kind of theme of being a Mexican restaurant, right? And where just party is life, it's fiesta, it's tequila, it's skulls, it's the colorful of folklore of the culture of Mexico. That's cool. I mean, I like it. It's part of what Mexico is. But I think there's a deeper understanding in my opinion, that we've been having that kind of restaurants. I've been here in Edmonton, in Canada, and now in Victoria for almost 12 years. And every time there is a Mexican restaurant, I kind of see the same theme all over again. And there's not a change. There's not something evolving. It's like we have this model, and it works here, and it works there, and it works here, right? But none of just that. It's just the fact that when you go and eat those places, or when you see the menu, it's like it's the same menu.
Do you have stuff that you would like to see changed? Would you be able to share sort of like the things that could be changed in a way for maybe a positive in your eyes?
Yeah, I think whoever comes to do Mexican food, it's understanding the culture more and technique and the use of ingredients and how to use it, right? For example, when we talk about mole, a mole sauce, which is a national dish in Mexico, but it's only sauce. But why? Because it's the labor behind it's intense. You can't make mole in a day. It's crazy. You have to plan ahead of time.
So how long does it take?
Well, it can take days.
Oh.
If you do it the proper way, it can take days, and it's not something that you're going to eat that once it's done. You want to reheat it next day, and it takes better, and it's a long process to do it. But especially the using dry chilies and using spices and using nuts and using vegetables and all sort of ingredients. So when people talk to me about mole as using powders, it's like, well, I don't know if that's a mole. It's completely different understanding from me. So I think it's like it's just a part of how I see the menu. Sometimes it's like to me it's like a resort. When you go to like Ixtapa or like Puerto Vallarta or Cancun or Baja California, Los Cabos, you go there and then you see like the Mexican kind of pop, and then you see chimichangas and you see things that are very like oriented to North Americans.
And I think another thing too is sort of the price point with Mexican food.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Yeah, it's really interesting to know, and we're doing some research, and it's funny how when you go to a Mexican restaurant, you always expect to be or to pay less money because it's Mexican. And when people go to Mexico and they just buy like 2,000 tacos for $20, you're like, this is heaven, right? So I think they come back and be like, oh, I'm paying like $15-17 for a taco. I'm like, well, the labor is completely different here. The people make money per hour. Taxes are more expensive. I mean, everything here is more expensive. Even living in an island is even more expensive.
Of course.
So trying to compare that with like going to Mexico and eat like a feast for like $50. Because, well, there the labor is cheap, the produce is cheap, everything is around. There's a lot of competition, so it's also kind of in a good side that. So it's a different value, because I think cost and a value is a completely different thing. People, I think if we put more the eyes within the value, and we forget a little bit of the cost, because at the end of the day, making nixtamal outside of Mexico, it's already expensive. It's already a skill that I mean, it takes time and it takes effort, and you have to source corn from other sources. So it's the challenges that comes with producing this type of tacos, these types of tortillas.
And are there items you find a lot here that you just wouldn't find in Mexico?
Yeah, if I have to, chimichangas or burritos, those things. I never grew up with those things in my life. And I don't know what is going on. When I see quesadillas with flour tortillas. Well, I'm from Central Mexico. We have quesadillas with corn tortillas, nixtamal corn tortillas. That's, for me, it's a quesadilla. And the fillings are completely different, right? So, when people think about like,
and is there guacamole and sour cream very prevalent in Mexico?
Guacamole for sure.
Yeah.
Sour cream, yes and not. I mean, it's more like a crema, what we have.
Okay.
But it's not like, you wouldn't see like ground beef or like cheese all the time or lettuce all the time on tacos. I don't know where that came from. But having so many toppings on top of tacos, to me, it's like insane. It's like, man, what is this? For me, a taco is a really good tortilla made of nixtamal, and you have a filling, which usually is meat in Mexico. When you go to the Mexican street tacos or taquerias, it's meat. It's just what you eat, right? And then you have onions and cilantro. That's like the basic taco, but it's amazing. And you got a sauce, and you got a little lime juice, and then the way you eat it, most people don't know how to eat tacos.
Okay, so let's get into this. How do you eat tacos?
That's I always say that to my friends and whoever I'm at the table and eating tacos. So the proper way, or the most stylish way to eat tacos, and this comes because many of the taquerias in Mexico are on the streets, and people that go for lunches or things like that are wearing a tie. So the way to do it, if I was standing up in my own feet and grabbing a taco, you will grab it from the back, from the top. And you will put 3 fingers on the tortilla. So you will grab it. Let's say this is the tortilla. You will grab it, right? And then you leave this, and then you got the pinky on the air. And then you lean forward, and it's like a neck, like a motion with your neck, and then you go and bite. And that's how you grab a taco.
Okay.
That's the proper way. And when I see people doing it, I'm like, they know what they're doing. They know the proper way. People grab it like this, and then all the fillings of the salsa goes into your hands.
Yes, that's my issue.
It's not the proper way. It's not the proper way. I mean, it's all about being the most what is this word I'm looking for? Stylish, or like clean, a clean way, a clean cut. Just like,
I will say, it is horrible when it just starts going all over your hand, and then it's a mess.
So what I would suggest to people that is watching right now the podcast is like, try to do that at home. Try to grab your tortilla from the top with 3 fingers, and then just bite, and then nothing, and you'll lean a little bit because at the end of the day, taco is street food in Mexico. and we eat standing up. We just like you got that bite, and then everything comes from the other side, but you remain clean. You're not like making a mess because you're in a hurry. Like you got 3-4 tacos and you eat that in like 5 minutes. And then you go. That's the way.
So when did you first learn the nixtamal process?
I think in Mexico, you see it there. Like my great grandma he was an expert doing tortillas. And then most recently at Pujol, we had this change where we actually transitioned into doing Mexican cuisine deeper in the roots of Mexican culture, and that was a switch when Enrique and Pujol, we started looking deep into our culture. So as a Mexicans, you always like, oh, French cuisine is super good, or Italian cuisine is super good, but we never kind of felt the same way with Mexican cuisine. We always like, it's Mexico, and it's tacos, and it's quesadillas, and things like that. But when we start looking into working with Mexican producers and applying techniques and things like that, that's when actually changed my perception of Mexican cuisine even farther, because we took that nixtamal, which is something that it's very attached to our culture, and we put it in practice. So Enrique started like sourcing corn and getting a big grinder, and we got staff from Oaxaca, from other places in Mexico, and really add a lot of value to what Pujol is right now. Having all these individuals with different skills are Mexicans coming to work with Enrique. That was, I think, the one of the best part of working in there.
And the nixtamal process, does it vary in different parts of the country in Mexico, or is it always sort of the same procedure?
It's always the same procedure. And if you go back to history, then people were doing nixtamal with ashes come from mussels or oysters or hardwood ashes or minerals like calcium hydroxide, things like that. But it's almost the same. It's like you have to cook it and let it soak and grind it. The grinding part is the more challenging steps of it, because you have to have a special mill to grind it, and that's what puts me always in sweating.
Well, dude, if you have the mill, you still have to know you have to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Because like it's one thing to have it, but then it's the knowledge and the amount of experience that it takes to be able to do that properly.
I get to know actually, like, well, one of the things I haven't said much, but using Mexican corn, purple, red, yellow, white, right?
There was one tortilla that stands out in my mind that you put on Instagram at one point where it was like half like the yellow color and then half like the dark blue or purple or something. And it was like half and half. Yeah. And it looks so wild. Yeah. Yeah. That's something that's, some of the things that we do in Mexico, we just like play around with tortillas. And that was using two different types of corn and one tortilla. So you taste like corn from one province to the other province, and you got one tortilla with two different colors. That's pretty cool. But I was going to say that working with Mexican corn, kind of knew that, but now sourcing corn from the mainland, from Armstrong, BC. I was going to say, you're getting BC corn now. Yeah, I'm getting BC corn because after COVID, I just had this realization of, well, if this is going to be a thing and imports are going to get in late, or Mexico is not doing very well with importing right now, so it was like I would say a little bit of I just got doubts of like, oh man, what is this going? What? So I put in this project into jeopardy, because if I don't get my main product, which is corn, from Mexico, if it gets stuck in the border or whatever, I can't do anything. So that forced me to look inside of what is around me, around the areas of British Columbia. And I just put myself in a mission. It's like, I'm just going to find a corn, or I'm going to find who is going to grow this corn and go through the whole process of like converting a vegetable into a grain. So I spent several weeks trying to figure it out.
which one, or at least the closest one. Like it could be from the States as well, but I'm like, I wanted to be Canadian corn. So I found this, and I'm from BC, and I'm pretty happy with it. It just changed my life.
Well, it must be. How hard was it to find that corn that you're using right now?
It was tough. It was tough to, because people don't understand. Like when I talk to the managers of the farmer, and like people use it for polenta. Like what? What are you using for? Like, and then so they don't understand. Like I got people, they think that you just grind the corn in a mill like it was flour, and then you make tortillas. And I'm like, I'm just gonna have polenta. With polenta, you can have a cohesive dough. It doesn't work like that. So it's it's a pretty interesting topic about talking about nixtamal and corn. Yeah, at least for me.
And I mean, even when you look at cheese, there's cheese in Mexico that you can get that you can't really replicate here, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, the quesadilla you have that day, I'm always looking for quesillo, which most people know as Oaxacan cheese. And there's one producer in Vancouver actually. So I got that one, and I just thought it's not bad, but it's not what I remember of this type of cheese. So my friend Amy, she is like, I'm gonna take you to the Esquimal market, and we're gonna go and try hot whistle cheese. And I'm like, I just need something that is kind of fresh, like a curd cheese or like cheese curds, or like something that it just resembles to that way of a cheese. So we went there. I tried one bag. I got it was fresh done already, and I'm like, I'm gonna have one bite, and I got a bite. And I'm like, my mind just blew away. It's like, oh man, we're gonna use this cheese. Like, forget about the one from Vancouver. Like, I want to use this one. And that's just the fun part of like getting to know more producers in Vancouver Island.
So I guess using the BC corn and using that cheese that's now being produced up island.
Yeah.
I guess you are making a version of taco that like it's almost, I guess, authentic to here. Would you say?
I would say,
because it's actually like this is the area where that stuff comes from.
I just think that there's a lot of potential and a lot of good producers that that as a chef I want to use. I want to be able to maximize the use of these things. I mean, I'm from Mexico and Vancouver Island. Let's see what this takes us.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work though to source this stuff, eh?
Yeah, it's like you ended up like multiple invoices, and you're like, it's not like cooking as the food truck comes twice a week with all your produces, and then they just unload it, put it in your fridge, and then you open boxes and you open bags. And then I did that when I came to Canada in a couple of restaurants, and you lost the connection with food. You lost one of the things I always talk about is like building relationships with within the community, and with people that either like to cook, produce things, or like to eat food. So those are three links very important in the process of cooking. Where you get your ingredients, who you are cooking for, and who is working those ingredients. Whoever is a farmer, or is a cheesemaker, or is whatever, right? So it's a part of that I think it's very important for what we do. Getting to know those aspects of cooking, for sure.
And I mean, now you're doing your own thing now, which must be pretty exciting. I mean, so let's sort of get into that.
Sure. When
COVID hit, how did COVID affect you?
Well, I was coming from, that year, so that's 2020, right? This year still? I don't even know what year is this. 2020?
Seems like it's been like 5 years, but
2020 COVID, right? Yeah. So I came back from Mexico City, and I spent a couple of weeks at Pujol, and just getting to, I was just fresh in my cooking skills, and searching things, and just getting to know more about
how was it to sort of go back down there and step into that world again, where it was a sort of it seems like a different level.
I just feel like at home. It was I mean, Ricky and I, we talk a little bit, and he's like, because I was like, I just want to work there for a couple of weeks. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I said, I just want to look and see and just be around. And he's like, dude, we do whatever you want. This is your home. Just go around. No obligation for anything. Just be discreet and enjoy and look and learn. I'm so happy you're here, you're back, and Pujol will always be your home. So that was pretty sweet.
Shout out to Enrique.
Of course, man. Yeah.
Shout out to Enrique.
Mentor. And then that's it. And then it was just a very good experience. Looking at the new Pujol, that's a new location, and all the crew and all the all the sous chefs and the chef de cuisine, pretty good guys, and they allow me to interact with all the staff and get to know things, and so that was pretty cool.
And so COVID hit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
COVID hit. So I came back and I was gonna have like a new space, a new kitchen at the Breakwater, which worked out pretty well. And then I was also changing some of the just some adjustments with the menu and things that I wanted to do for people to enjoy, to have a better experience. Because to me, it's just creating experiences is the most important part of what I do. People remember things because of the experience of the day or the night you went there. Anyways, and then COVID hit, and it was just a matter of being at home and just being in there. Not much action. And then a few months later, I was kind of figuring out what I was going to do, if I was not going to be back in business, or if I was going to be, I had thoughts of like going painting or doing landscaping, or like, I was just like, this is done.
Yeah, please never do that. Making food, you're so good at it.
I was like, I got friends. I got a friend in Edmonton. She's like, hi to Linda. Linda and Sean, they were very good to me. They just said to me, dude, you can't do that. Like, please do not go into one of those jobs. It's not what you do. If you need support, if you need anything, let us know. We'll support you. Let us know what you need, and then we'll figure it out. And that's exactly what happened. So I got support from people from Edmonton, people from here, and my family in Mexico, my brother, my mom, my dad, and that's one of the dreams I have, to reunite my family at some point, for sure.
Dude, I can't wait for that day to happen. That's gonna be so dope.
I'm stoked, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't been able to talk to you too much lately because you've been so busy. It seems like you just, like, once things started to roll, you just now took off and you're just going for it.
Yeah. So MAiiZ Nixtamal is my new adventure in Victoria. It's just been amazing. I am over the top of my head. Like, I'm just thinking all the support from, you, Amy, the whole community, right? I mean, food writers, magazines, things like that. It's just been, I'm very grateful for them to take a moment and have interest for what we're doing.
Like I said, in such a short period of time, people know who you are. So you've done an amazing job since you got here last year.
Yeah, it's been quite the ride.
And so far you've done 2 events at the time of this recording, right?
Yeah, 3 events actually.
Oh, it's been 3.
Yeah, so we decided to launch MAiiZ on July 26th, which is a day after my birthday. And I didn't want to do it that day, but I'm like, you know what? That's my birthday, so let's just do it.
Love it. Happy birthday.
It will be fun, It will be like, it's like I was born in July 25th, and then MAiiZ was born July 26th. So that's good.
And then, so the first event, I was at the first one.
Yeah.
And that was out at Harvest Road.
Yes.
Which I do want to say, like, at one point I was at the lunch where you met Brendan.
Yeah.
Out at Harvest.
Yeah. You were the link.
Well, no, that was such a cool experience to have, that for some reason I knew you had to go to Harvest and try their stuff. And I totally didn't anticipate you guys to become like best friends, like on the spot.
Dude, just like you when they're like, you're like, yeah, you should go there. I'm like, yeah, I need to go there. Just not much time, but I will go. And then you're like, we're going. What was Tuesday? I
Yeah,
think
it was you and me, and then Jason from the Hive, and Chelsea,
Sydney
Scones.
Yeah, Sydney Scones.
So actually, all three of you have now. I've done an episode with all three of you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is dope. But that lunch was really. I liked looking over and seeing what your thoughts were on the burger, because you were just kind of like this. You're just like, it seemed like you were blown away by how fresh it was and all that. You're just kind of taking it in.
Well, that Mitchell's farm, that Mitchell's beef, it's something. I mean, that's something.
Yeah,
that's like. I don't know if it's just the patty or whatever comes in that burger, but I mean that was like, wow. I have to go at least every 2 weeks now. I just want to go.
Yeah,
to say hi and to eat.
And then Brendan comes over and he starts speaking Spanish.
He's fluent in Spanish,
right
man.
out of the gate. Yeah,
but he had like the Nicaraguan accent, so it's funny. Yeah, pretty good.
And so it's been wild to see sort of the progression since then. It's been so quick. But that first event, it was a ticketed dinner.
Yeah.
And there was 2 seatings, and it was 4 courses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that event was just insane. I mean, just having that food, like having the quesadilla again and the taco, and then Chelsea contributed with Dan with the scone and the ice cream.
Yeah.
And then the first dish with the corn.
Oh yeah,
just that whole corn experience was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, people, it's something that I always took it as a granted. I guess this dish. I guess when you grow up with all those things, become so normal to you.
Well, like, of course, if that's what you're having all the time.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I don't know how many thousands of liters of esquites or corn on the cob I ate in Mexico. It's like. It's like so popular. It's like, I don't know, something that you just have every time, right? Doing it here, it was just, well, you know what? I also have to say that when I went to personally picked all the corn from the field, man, like it's as fresh as much as you can get fresh. Like that day, we went and caught the corn, bring it to the kitchen, and started doing the dish. And then. You can tell it does not come from a frozen bag. You can tell. You can taste it. And it's like, it just blows your mind. Even though it's just the corn with the broth that I made out of the corn, the cob, and the silk of the corn and some herbs and just like a vegetable corn broth that you put into the kernels, and then you put some mayonnaise and some feta cheese, and just trying to make.
It was a treat. I mean, for the opening course, it was perfect.
Yeah, that was great. I'm glad you guys liked it.
And that event was I think very special. I'm glad I was able to be there for that seating, and I got to stick around and just take photos in the second one. I don't know if I was supposed to be there, but I just sort of hung around and was
that's fun, man.
Taking pictures. It was such a good night. It worked out really well at the end too. Chelsea was there, and she had some scones that she sort of laid out on the table, and she let people try. It was just that night with an event like that where it had such a good group of people working together, like that sense of community is like, that's for me to be able to be included in that, like it feels so special to me. And that's why I really value being able to be a part of something like that. So, and it's amazing that like taking pictures on my phone of food has led to all this. Yeah. It's so crazy, but like that experience just on like a fundamental human being level was very cool.
Yeah. Well, I guess if people ask me about Dallas, I just say that, well, he's the guy that connects. He's a guy that always connects the dots within the food community. It's always the guy that goes around and do his things, and everything seems to be work out for him. And everybody kind of have respect and loves you. So it's and to me, it's like when we went to Harvest Road, and then you introduced me with them, and then you have introduced me with a lot of people actually, and that's just it's a lot of value that I put into this relationship. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you
for sure, man.
It was funny because when I like at work, we used to go for different lunches. Me and coworkers.
Yeah.
And I would be the one that would sort of organize these things for years. and then I stopped doing it because I'm just too busy.
Yeah.
And they died out after that. So maybe there's something to be connecting people, I guess. I don't know. Somebody else made that comment to me recently too, actually. But with the food, you also did an event at the Hive.
Yeah, the first Nixtamal Taco Tuesday. Yeah.
And so are these events, are these going to be reoccurring events?
So MAiiZ, the main thing for MAiiZ is to sell tortillas, and the mission that I put myself into it. I think you asked me a couple minutes ago or something that what I want to achieve in Victoria with the Nixtamal and MAiiZ being now a business. I really want to have, and I really want to share. That's probably the proper word. I want to share what I do with many people as possible. And I want people to have access to good tortillas. You know, I know there's a lack of good tortillas in North America, and there's a huge gap in between. Even Mexicans or Latin American people that come already and pre-order tortillas, I know they're from. We got customers from Colombia, from Mexico, from Guatemala. Like, they miss it, and they. I mean, yesterday we got. I think I can't remember her name, but I might not say it, but I think her name is Andrea, and I think she's from Colombia.
Okay.
And then she came to pick up tortillas on Tuesday, and I told her, "Oh, where are you from?" Because I know she's from. I mean, kind of recognize each other, right? And she, I'm from Colombia, and I say, "Wow, that's great, arepas." You know, like in Colombia, there's like a thick tortilla filled with things in there, and it's called arepa. And I say, I also sell masa, which is the dough, the corn dough. And she's like, wow, all right, maybe next time I'll get dough and I can make my own arepas, you know? So it's always a connection with corn in Mexico and Central America. But the main mission is to have, for people to have more access to good quality tortillas that are full of nutrients and that are full of flavor, and the taste is different, right? And people can enjoy that better. Like I'm pretty sure people are missing out, or just having a factor that I can't find these tortillas anywhere else. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think the taste being different is an understatement almost, because it's like insanely different. This is just a totally different experience on all levels.
At all levels. I mean, when one of the things I was doing at Breakwater, and the reason why I do not do my tacos plated, like at that time I was not plating tacos like most people or more restaurant will do. It's like play with 3-4 tacos, right? And then you're ready just to grab them and shove it, right? The main reason why I didn't want to do that is because I wanted to be apart from that experience of just grabbing a taco and just eating it like this and then I'm done. I want people to understand and open the basket of tortillas, right? And be like, oh, what is this? And then like, oh, and then you smell. So they will use their 5 senses immediately. They're like, oh, I see something different. I see colors. I see different textures. When you grab it, it's like, oh, it just feels differently, and it's elastic, and it smells differently. And when you taste it, it's like, oh, well, this is completely different.
Well, that's one thing you always showed me with the tortillas is when you crumple them up in your hand,
yeah,
and they're completely like squished, and you open your hand, and the tortilla then goes back to sort of its normal form, or it's the original form.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about that. It's all about the
and I love when they puff up. When you're cooking them and you glide the thing over top and then it puffs up.
Yeah, it's like a pita bread, right? Like they just puff and then like that's ready, and that's the ready tortilla.
That's how you tell it's ready.
Yes, how you tell it's ready.
Do you have other dishes that you're going to be doing with the pop-ups and all that kind of stuff?
For now, I think I'm just going to continue doing these 3 dishes.
Okay.
Until maybe we go into like the fall, I might change something for sure.
But I'm so curious that like when you said to me that this is like the entry level stuff, that you have so many dishes that you would like to do. I'm just curious what all those dishes are, I guess.
I mean, I want to do pozoles in the winter, like you have that pozole.
That was it was almost like a kind of a stew of some sort.
Yeah. That's something I really want to do with in the winter time. I want to do tamales in winter time, because tamales is just for like basically like cold weather. Having tamale in the summertime plus 25 or 28 degrees is probably, I'm just gonna
No good.
gonna go to sleep, right? I mean, there's many things that I want to do for sure. Yeah.
And do you have other future plans for the company, or right now are you just focusing just basically on just what you're doing and just getting that under wraps?
I mean, at some point I want to have a front store, and a place to where I can just work every day, you know, as a business. And that's like the end goal of like going into a massive production of tortillas and having a little space besides where I can offer 4 or 5 items in the menu, something super tight but well done and just tasty. That's all I care right now. It's like I'm not like, I'm never like menus where you can see 30 things on the menu. It's just like, to me it's like insane. Like how many, it's like, I don't know, it's like having 20 pets, you know, like you can't take care of one.
Well, like when you said 4 menus, like you made me think of AO Eat, which is Bana in Market Square, and I think you went there.
Oh yeah,
in the corner. I told you about that place.
Yeah.
And like he's only got, I think it's 4, it might be 5, but I think it's 4.
Yeah.
And I love it there. Like it's just, he's got it dialed in.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I tried that last time and it's like, that's cool. I was like, probably too small of a space for what I have in mind. But I just want to I want to produce tortillas, but I mean, one of the other things I want to do is I want other businesses to use tortillas or to use dough. So for example, right now we got at least 3 restaurants in town that we are delivering masa dough.
Can you name those? Are you allowed to?
I guess there's not a problem. I mean, I think they will be. I'm proud of it. They should be proud of it. I guess it's Beloved, Nowhere, and Sabor.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, they are.
I actually had the at Nowhere last week. It was the 3rd course on their menu.
Yeah.
And they had, I forget, there was a cheese inside of it.
Yeah, like a pizza pop,
yes, it was like a pizza pop type thing.
Pop or something.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
so insane.
I mean, Clark, you know, like he was. So when it's a story behind that, because when I first came to Victoria, he was the only guy trying to do Nixtamal, right? So I saw a picture. I'm like, oh man, this guy's doing Nixtamal. That's cool. And I had a friend from Edmonton. Her name is Twyla Campbell, and she's a food writer from CBC and other publications. And she's like, you should go there and talk to him because he's doing something. So we have a little chat, and then and now it's funny because now I'm his supplier for Nixtamal. So that's pretty cool. And
awesome.
He does things like, you know, like crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, to me it would make sense if someone's trying to do it, it'd be him.
We might talk about it. I think we're gonna do some sort of a collaboration at Nowhere at some point.
Like some type of dinner or something.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm always been. I'm always kind of like wanna play around with Clark and what he's, you know, pick up his mind.
Oh, that'll be something special.
Yeah.
If you do that, that's gonna sell out in like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
it's not even. That's going to be done.
Yeah,
because like the only collaboration I remember them doing is the one with My Thai Cafe.
Oh, okay.
And they did one dinner and that sold out. That was at Hank's, I think.
Yeah,
and they sold out like instantly.
Yeah, it's just fun to go to other people's kitchens and be a guest. Yeah.
So, have you been swimming recently at all?
Swimming?
Yeah.
In my own thoughts, but not much.
Not actual swimming.
No, actually,
because I know that you were doing that quite a bit before.
Yeah,
I always enjoyed actually on Instagram when I would see that you're on your Instagram and your story, you'd have like a little bit of water view.
Yeah.
And then I know you had the pass to the one place there with the swimming pool.
Oh yeah.
And I always, for some reason, it relaxed me to hear you about your swimming or seeing the water.
Yeah, it's just like it's the way I kind of relax and it's my own time. And it's like, yeah, I just use it I like swimming just to like relax and have a little peace of mind. And
do you like how I just totally went on a wild tangent with that one?
Yeah.
How many laps can you do back and forth in the pool?
Oof, if I'm in shape, I will do 30 laps, 20 laps.
Without stopping?
Without stopping.
See, I can't imagine. I hadn't swam in like 20 years. And then I went to the Commonwealth and I got in the pool.
The Olympic pool, the 50-meter one.
Yeah, but they had it cut in half.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's 25.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I had no idea that I could no longer swim. So I got in it. I'm like, oh, this is cold. Let me just try and swim. And I made it like nowhere along. Barely made it along the thing, and I was out of breath. And I
Yeah,
had
it
no
takes a lot.
goggles. So I was keeping my head
Oh, that's
above the
why.
water. It
Yeah.
was horrific. And it was such a humbling experience to like literally just not be able to do it at all.
I guess.
And it was very humbling. It was great. And so I respect it whenever anyone can go back and forth at all. Like I can't even do that.
Yeah. 25 meter. It becomes shorter once you're in shape.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in shape at all right now. It's just like, I haven't been able to swim in the pool.
Yeah.
But yeah, 50 meters it's more enjoyable.
It's more enjoyable.
It's more enjoyable at some point. Yeah, because you just like there's no walls. And it's 50 meters where there's no wall, and you got 25, and then by the time you have a nice stroke, you gotta flip and come back. But when you have 50, you go in the middle and you're like, okay, you keep going, you keep going.
You can't stop.
And then
Yeah, it's one thing I actually found out that I sink very quickly. I haven't figured out how to be efficient with my doggy paddle or whatever to stay afloat.
It's the
going in my back
breathing
even.
technique.
Yeah, it's my technique's all wrecked.
Yeah,
because I just sink right to the bottom.
Yeah, you gotta inflate your lungs and go away with the flow, I guess.
What else are you doing with any free time that you have right now?
Not much free time right now.
Yeah,
it's taking very well. And I think at some point in the next 2 months, I have to start bringing equipment and actually be in a retail space to actually be able to manage the production. That we basically sold out every time we do tortillas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the demand is there. I just want to keep going and find a way to provide more tortillas within the community and even restaurants. Like I admire the people that are asking for Nixtamal dough right now. It's just like they want to do things. It's available. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Let's give it to them. To me, it's more important for me to share that than at some point I want to be the pioneer of bringing Nixtamal and getting established in Victoria with Nixtamal. But after COVID happens, and knowing the struggles that everybody's going through, I just thought about it and be like, you know what, let's just because I was only going to sell tortillas and keep the masa for my own purposes. But at some point, if you really want to share the whole product, you should share it, like the whole thing, like sell masa to Nowhere, sell masa to Savor, sell masa to Beloved Restaurant and other restaurants that are interested already. To me, that just speaks itself that they want also good tortillas. They whatever they do with the product, whatever their creations, and also some of the things that satisfies me inside and puts my heart into like heartbeat. It's getting to know what people do after, like when they go and buy tortillas and they show it on Instagram. Oh, we have this fantastic taco dinner, or we have tacos for lunch, and then they all sharing on Instagram what they do with that. And I'm just like, it's just super satisfying. It's just like, besides being a chef and besides having a very distinct, unique product, that you put your ego aside, we're like, fuck that, I want people to have an enjoyable taco meal. And to me, that's more important than anything else, that people are enjoying it and that they see the value and they're just having a good time eating tacos, and they say, wow, these tortillas are really good. And
every time you have one of those sales now, I always see on the Instagram account and the stories, tons of people are just putting up what they're eating. And it is pretty wild. I can't imagine what that would feel like as the person producing this.
Yeah.
That it's like something you've made, and it's now enabling all these like sort of experiences that otherwise might not have happened.
Yeah, and people put time into it. People to put the love into it, and I think they love the idea of having these tortillas around. and it just fills my heart. It really fills my heart when I see stories of people or emails, like, oh, we tried this once, now we can't wait for the next batch. And it really puts my heart in a good position. Yeah.
And so what days are people, is it Mondays that people can get those?
Right now we release a calendar. We're going to be doing every 2 weeks at the Hive for pop-ups.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing the following week after the pop-up, we're going to be doing 2 pickup orders. That will be Tuesdays and Fridays for that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot what day it is.
Yeah.
I thought today was Tuesday.
What's that?
I thought today was Tuesday
No,
for some reason. Okay, never mind. I'm out to lunch.
Yeah, so that's the schedule we're putting in. And then you know what? Like when you start something new, you gotta find your own kinks, and you gotta find what really works for the operation. And knowing that the dough takes time to make it. So people ask me like, "Hey, can I have 4 pounds for tomorrow?" I wish I can have that production ready, right, for you. So we have to schedule it, and then within the next 2 months, I think we'll be able to produce more and more. I'm looking around.
Is that for getting like the new mill or something?
Especially getting a bigger mill, like special mill, that will produce more capacity.
And are you going to have a retail space or just a different kitchen?
I want to have a window, which is pretty much a retail space.
Okay.
And a window, and I'm looking for a space that, during the summer have a little patio where we can sell a little, like, I just like the location at the Hive. It's like, to me, that's, if anybody can tell me where is some location like that in the city, I would love to see it. It's a window for winter. It's great because people can go and pick up, and then during summer they can sit at the patio, and it's just a way to.
So for you, is that that's what you would like? That's the pinnacle right now for what you would want.
Yeah, and then maybe later on, we'll figure it out to do fun stuff later with more capital to spend money. Right now, it's just like trying to get off the ground MAiiZ and fulfilling people's life with good tortillas and tacos. That's the main thing for MAiiZ.
I didn't realize it was that ambitious of a thing of getting another space like that quickly.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, once you see the potential that is just there, and as a chef, I also want to create things and cook things and have people around. I think that's what we do. That we want to have people happy around and creating experiences. This is one of the most important part of being in the industry. Is like people remember you or remember your meals because they have a good experience. Oh, they have a good night, and that night. Remember that night we went to that place? That was awesome. That.
How much do you think, so for those memorable experiences someone has when they're going somewhere, how much of it is the food, and how much of it is all the other factors that, like maybe the ambiance that night, or the person they're with, or the other factors? What do you think? Where do you think that sort of breaks down?
I mean, to me, it's a whole. It's a whole team together. It's like a watch. Every single thing is working itself, and if something is not in time or it's not in a schedule, it just breaks down the whole experience. That's one thing that at restaurants I work, I always emphasize a lot into cleanliness. That's very important for me. To get you the perception of customer when you go to a clean and bright, nice space is like, I like it. It's, you pay respect to it right away. Having nice washrooms, having tables.
I've always joked with people that a washroom place is kind of how it makes a big impact on me.
Of course,
what the washrooms are like.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's one of the most. I mean, like, you've been in Japan, right?
Yes.
And then washrooms in Japan are crazy.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. Well,
nothing stood out like too. Nothing stands out too. In what way are you saying?
Just like it's a time for rest. It has to be clean.
They were definitely clean.
Differently clean. Right?
Yes.
It's a part of that culture. To me, it's just it's that's I think that's what I call restrooms, because you go to there to like, and then you find, for example, I'm gonna bring Pujol back again. The new Pujol, the washroom have a different vibe and a different music than the music at the dining room, because you go there to rest, you go there like to relax and do your stuff, and then you're ready to go, and then you go back to the dining room, right?
So it's done with purpose.
It's done with purpose. Everything, to me, everything in the within the restaurant has to have a purpose, with an intention for people to enjoy it. Like whether if it's the cleanliness, whether there is even the way your staff has the body language towards how they speak to you, the level of the music, the level of the lights. I just can't imagine. We always have that problem at a restaurant, that people can't see the menu. Oh man, that's your point of sales. And then people are like putting their lights because whoever managed that restaurant wants to have dim lights.
Yeah.
It's like, man, people, how are they going to eat? We have to differentiate between a bar and a restaurant, with two different things. So having enough light to read the menu properly and to choose, like that's very important. Things like that, same thing in the kitchen, like a lot of things that have to go in place, and it's like a show every day. It's like a show, like you go to the theater, and then it's like everybody acting has to come together for that piece. It's the same thing for me. It's like every single thing has to be in place, and yeah, that's experience. That's what you do. I mean, you say, well, how much percentage of the food is? Well, I guess when you have maybe not as a good food, but you have the other things that make the experience for the customers, I think they're more forgivable of that, of not having like the super meal. But when you have a super meal on top of the rest of the ambience and the music and the light and the promptness of your server, like, oh, I didn't miss this, or I didn't forget this, or I'm always on top of my service, that just creates an experience that people remember, and that's how you get loyal customers.
Do you have like an all-time experience eating at a restaurant?
Sorry, what time experience?
Like an all-time experience, like your number one ever, or number two or three, top three things ever. Anything that stands out?
I guess in Spain, I got one of the best experiences in San Sebastian.
Okay, and what was that experience? What was special about it?
Just the level of care, the care. They care about that. And in Mexico also have a lot of good experiences. The way you go to a restaurant, these restaurants, and then you just have freaking awesome a meal that just like, wow, I can't find this anywhere else. But on top of that, the music is on top. It's nice. It kind of connects with the music, with the food, and then you got your server that is just like almost is like invisible, but it always at the same, always comes to the right time, and then take away your dishes. Or one time we were at Pujol and last January, and we were sharing one of the tasting menus, and one dish required a fork and knife. My dish didn't require a fork and knife. It was just a taco. The server did know that beforehand. So when we went to share this dish, he brought me an extra cutlery, because he figured out the moment, because how he's gonna know I was gonna share this with my friend? No idea. But he's on top of it, and that's one of the training part of Pujol. And I mean, that kind of restaurants where like the service, it's on top. It's like you are there, like a server is there to meet all your needs that possibly can happen during the meal, right? So I was like, wow, that was, I mean, I didn't have to ask. to me, service is everything. I mean,
That's when you know it's good, when you that light bulb goes off for the customer, right? Where they're like, this person just did this. I don't even have to ask for it.
Yeah, and you're like, holy, yeah, you're gonna get a good tip. You know what you're doing. I don't have to ask, and it's something that I always have an issue with, like the level of careness within those restaurants. Yeah.
One thing that always stood out for me was like the water on the table. If the glass gets empty and it just sits there empty for a bit, I think actually psychologically that might impact me on some level when I'm at a place.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, I do appreciate when it's like I always have some water.
Yeah, you have to. Like especially in summertime, you just gotta get some water.
Yeah. And I mean, now I guess most places are sort of bringing a bottle, so you just have it at your table, which is great.
Yeah,
that works for me.
That works for me too.
Yeah,
yes, I need to have water all the time.
Dude, I haven't been drinking enough water.
I know.
I've been really bad this summer. I don't know what it is.
You've probably been having more beer than water.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm always like dehydrated. I definitely need to step my game up. I have a huge water bottle here, but I didn't realize when I bought this water bottle that when you fill it with water, it weighs 5 pounds.
Oh, because that thing is massive.
It's massive. So I didn't anticipate that. So I bought it because I'm like, I like big things. I want to have a lot of water, but that thing weighs so much. It's crazy.
Carrying around for sure.
It works great though if you use it. So if somebody's visiting Mexico and they've never been there, do you have any tips for finding like really good food?
Just go wherever you see a lot of people eating tacos. Okay. Like when it's busy, it's because it's good. Like when you see like 100 people in one taco stand, you want to be there.
And what are the wait times like for like a really good place, would you say?
It just depends of your waiter sometimes. Depends how hungover you are. Because if you go there, you're gonna have fun.
Okay. Yeah. And what parts of Mexico do you miss, like being up in Victoria?
What part of Mexico?
Yeah, well, like what aspects of Mexico do you miss that we don't have here, like culture-wise in that?
I think the connection within the land and the produce, that's one of my biggest, and family as well, right? Family and the culture as well. Some of the parts, I had years of missing that out a lot. But I made the decision to establish myself in Canada, and you have to go with that. But answering to your question, it's more about like what you can find in Mexico. It's that I can't find here. We're talking about like nopales and the cacti puddles, right? Oh man, I love that stuff. But now it's like, well, I'm in Vancouver Island, but I want to explore new ingredients, and I mean at some point I will do specials maybe with nopales, because I can't help myself. I found where to buy them, so I'm just like, I'm gonna go one day and have that. You did find where to buy them. Yeah. Okay. So it's just gonna be like a treat. It's not gonna be like every single time in the menu or whatever I do a pop up, but I also want to share that with people.
And so with cactus in Mexico, is that because when I had it was always a breakfast thing when I was down visiting my buddy and his wife. Mm-hmm. Is cactus used mainly for breakfast dishes, or is it used for any time of the day?
Mostly on Sundays, I will say. So like barbecues, and you got nopales, and they go with carne asada and onions with like the cambray onions, or like these onions that you put on the grill. Mm-hmm. And you put nopales on the grill, you put your carne asada, you like steaks on the grill, and you got tortillas and you got salsa, and you have a party already. Like you got like a couple of friends around, and then you got like your uncles or like whatever, and then you got a party, and then you having a fantastic party, and then you're just eating and having fun, having some beers. That's that kind of thing. It's that
community.
Yeah, and the taco culture. It's and I think that's what I started doing it because I missed that much. You have no idea, dude. I was just like, when I first landed in Canada, I was buying tortillas like here and there. I want to find the best tortilla. Couldn't find it. I was just like, oh my god. So I guess I got to do my own now. and I think that's how it started. Like,
and when you say taco culture, what do you mean by that?
I mean, just the loudest places in Mexico, and the vibe and that taco culture brings a lot of feelings and it's a different life. You know, you see people you eat tacos like any time of the day, even after hours. Like people go for, people going to the club or going to the bar, and after 2 a.m, there's actually taco shops or taquerias that are selling tacos at 2 a.m.
Really?
You go it's like you go to the parking lot, and then you park in there, and there's a guy coming to you, and they're like, how many tacos you want, bro? And you're like, I have 5 of these, 5 of that. How many you guys? 10? And then you got 20 tacos. Sure, no problem. And then the guy goes back to the kitchen, and you're in a parking lot. And then they go, and then they just bring you everything, and you eat.
I love it.
And then you're like, all right, I can drive now. I mean, any time of the day, taco is just like, it's like part of the culture. Like, eat taco. Taco for me is anything you can put in a tortilla, fold it. That's a taco. I mean, no matter what it is.
Those flowers that they had at the Harvest Road event.
Yeah.
Those were really cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever had one of those before.
Oh, the cilantro flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, cilantro flowers. Yeah, for sure. That's a very is kind of a very important part of the dish for that taco, for that special taco. I know a lot of people struggle with the taste of cilantro and having the after soap taste. And there's nothing I can do.
I used to get that.
No way.
I used to get that, and then I don't know what changed, but I think I talked about this in one podcast before.
Yeah.
But I actually, in my mind, made a conscious decision to forget any previous idea that I had about cilantro and feeling about it. Just forget about that, and let's start fresh and try and experience it as if I was like an alien coming here and just had no idea what this was. Like, let's just experience it like blank, from a blank place. And now I love it.
Yeah, cilantro is pretty good.
I love it. Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so the cilantro flowers, they're just a more delicate flavor, and it adds aesthetics to the dish. It adds a different profile flavor of cilantro, and they're probably gonna get popular nowadays, but I mean, that's fine. I just love that taste. Is just good, and it's not as abrasive as the cilantro when it's like grown like a bunch, right? But I mean, I remember those flowers, right? Yeah, pretty good.
And where have you been eating around the city lately with COVID? Have you been eating out much?
No, I've been cooking a lot at home.
So what are you making when you're cooking at home? What are you making for yourself?
Whatever I have around. I like to have my scrambled eggs in the morning with cheese and like huevos a la mexicana. It's what it's called. It's like Mexican scrambled eggs. Got some jalapenos, some onions, some cilantro, some tomatoes, and then you make scrambled eggs. And then I've been eating probably those ones since I was a child. So it's like, I just carry that in my diet all the time whenever I have time, How much of the different stuff that you cook now, how much did you learn any of that from your mother or your grandmother or anybody in your family? Cooking? Yeah, I mean, my mom is a great cook. She's very creative with a really short budget, like feeding family every day with like short budget. It's just, I mean, I probably couldn't do it. Like always thinking about, okay, I can use this. Oh no, like I can't afford this, but I can buy this. And managing the time, like she didn't work. She just took care of us and doing all the chores and everything. And And did you learn any recipes or techniques that she used? Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, there's at this point sometimes I like, hey mom, remember that thing that you made one day? Yeah. How do you make that? And I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. And that's it. My grandma used to do like mole when every time was my birthday. Mole is a thing that you don't have time to make mole every day. That would be insane. It's 25 ingredients in one recipe for the black mole that usually gets chocolate in there, right? I mean, moles are from many regions of Mexico. You have different moles, you know. And she spent time doing mole, and I remember she will start early in the week, just go and buy the ingredients and cook in stages that recipe. Because if you do that in one day and you try to feed everybody in that day, man, everybody's like, okay, bye, grandma, it's taking too long, this. Yeah, no, it's insane.
It was a pleasure to meet your mom. I met her right when she was visiting earlier this year.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. She.
I gave you that picture that I took of you too, right?
Yeah, I have.
Okay,
it. Yeah,
good.
It's pretty cool.
I want to make sure that I pass that on.
Yeah, she's been in Canada 2 times already, and she's always been helping me with like whatever I do. You know, last time I want her to have more time around the city, but I was pretty busy. So you know, it will be time for her to come back and have more like a fun time rather than just working with me at the restaurant. But I think she enjoys it. Like she's just like such a sweet mama I have, and then she likes to be around me. And then she's like, I just came here to spend time with you. So whatever we do, I'm having fun and I'm enjoying it, and I'm grateful I'm here. So that was part of the trip for her.
I love it. And how long was she here for?
A month.
Oh, she was here for a month.
A month in Victoria.
Okay.
Yeah, in February. Yeah, that was the time she came in.
Isn't it wild to think about that? Like that was right before COVID really took off here. It feels like a different world.
Man, if she would stay for another 2 weeks, she would probably have to stay with me. Yeah, and yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was such a different world. Like to think about it, literally feels like in the middle of March. That like that old world, when I see old photos from before like March 15th or something,
yeah,
I'm like that was a different time. That's like a whole different universe.
Yeah, everything changed like instantly.
Yeah,
everything was like, even my life changed a lot. Like I mean, personally, you know, professionally, and as a human being. I mean, I think everyone has been gone through, you know, a lot of things, and surfing that wave might be scary, but we are still here. And
I think it is an important thing too. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, that we don't know what someone else is going through or has been going through during this time. So I've been trying to exercise a lot of empathy and patience with people, and not getting worked up, or doing my best not to. Yeah. Because it really doesn't help anything.
Yeah, I've one of the things I've been working out is on being more confident going out and you know, interacting and taking precautions and things like that. Because at some point I was like, I'm not gonna move out of my house. Just this is going crazy.
Well, I think at the start, when we didn't know what was going on, I was super cautious, and I still am very cautious. But at the start, I was, compared to people I know, they thought I was like crazy because I was being like maybe overly cautious, I guess, to a lot of people.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody takes it differently, right? Everybody has their own level of cautious. And
well, we had at that point, we didn't really have any information.
No,
we didn't know how actually serious it was.
Yeah, no, that's a wild time, but it's important to manage the paranoia and the fear within ourselves, you know. I mean, it's very unfortunate what everybody probably has been through, but I think building confidence and being cautious and just following things around, you know, makes it easier. I mean, yeah, for sure.
Of course. And is there anything else we haven't touched on that you wanted to touch on?
No, just keep an eye on MAiiZ.
And then and that's spelled, for people that want to find it, MAiiZ.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. And that's the Instagram handler for the new project. And what's
the significance behind the name? Is there a significance?
So MAiiZ in Spanish it means corn, right?
Okay.
That's the way it is. But I add an extra I into the word MAiiZ. So originally it's only MAiiZ. That's it. But I add another I because my name is Israel, so it starts with an I as well. And I'm like, why not?
I love it.
Why not? It's just like a signature right there. Yeah, just keep an eye on us. We're releasing a calendar for pre-order of tortillas and pop-ups around.
Because you guys have a mailing list or something, right?
Yeah, we have a mailing list, and then we in our website we're gonna have a shop in there so people can shop. We will have a stock for every week, for every day of the week that we are basically it's Tuesdays and Fridays. And the day we're doing the pop-up at the high for any other location will be also on the calendar, and they can find us there. And yeah, just keep, I will just say keep sharing the love for Nixtamal, and yeah, and hopefully we can be in a better shape in the next couple of months.
People are digging what you're doing.
Well,
every time I put up a story that has like your name on it, people get excited.
I'm just so grateful, man. I'm overwhelmed actually by the support. I mean, last week I just did a staff party for dumpling drop for Tarn, and I just had a fantastic time there, man. Just like cooking for 10-12 people, right? And then having a little party with them, and then just get to know them. I mean, everyone has been just amazing, and very supportive. And I mean, Harvest Road, The Hive, I mean, Beauregard Cafe. I mean, there's many people that I took very seriously, and I have a lot of respect for what they do, and it just continue growing in a very nice way.
Through your time in the industry, is there like a takeaway or a lesson you've learned that sort of stands out above all others working with food and now with your own business?
A lesson.
Yeah. Or a takeaway, something you've learned.
Dedication, time, effort, and passion. That's probably the things that I always put first. And the lesson is to always push hard. Always the push is important. Even if you are, in a bad spot, or you're tired, or you're just not in your mind, or your feelings are a little off, pushing is important. Every day. People do care about other people, but when you go to a restaurant, or when you are cooking for someone or for many other people, they don't ask you. They just like they don't need to know how you're feeling, or you have any issues. So, they you are there to make them feel good, and basically to do their best. So that's, to me, it's just like no matter what, no matter if the weather is rainy, or if it's hot, if it's snowing, your performance, that's what I'm trying to say. Your performance should be always be the best. But that's hard to manage sometimes. But you have to be willing to do that in order to meet the expectations, or the I don't know the expectations, but I think the experience of a customer or a diners coming into a restaurant, or doing whatever you do, right? That's, for me, that's the performance it always has to be the most important part, because at the end of the day, it's running like a show. Like a good show is made of a lot of things that putting together at the same time. And that's, to me, that's the most important part.
Awesome. Yeah, no, every time I ask someone that question at the end, I always get a different answer. And I love hearing where someone's head's at with the experience that they've had, and what comes to mind. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day,
Yeah. And like I said at the start, I'm excited to see where you're going to be going, because there's special stuff, or the special times ahead for you.
Yeah, me too.
And I really feel like the best is to come.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to try your food moving forward, and seeing what other dishes you come up with. And dude, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm nervous, but I gotta keep
It's
pushing.
good though.
Well, you know, some people said to me, "Well, how do you feel?" I feel butterflies. I feel nervous. I've like
Perfect.
But if I don't have those feelings, then it's something is off. You know?
Exactly. I would say if you didn't have those feelings, then
I feel like, oh my god, I'm just like, people are gonna like it. Like, you know, it's not a lack of confidence. It's just like,
No, but
I just care.
Yeah.
You know, and so if I don't have those butterflies the day I'm doing the event, then I'm doing something wrong. I was like, maybe I'm not really passionate about this. You know.
I would agree 100%.
Yeah.
And for anyone, if you're looking for what I'm doing, you can go to www.vicfoodguys.ca and you'll find the podcast. There's a link to my Instagram. There's everything else there. But Israel, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, and you know, let me speak my story.
Thank you. And actually, I will say one last thing. If you made it this far, please give a like or a share or a comment or something on the platform that you're listening to this on or watching this. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.